I dropped 35 feet from the highway. I survived it, but my jaw was shattered, my ankle was shattered, and I could not move. Growing up in the church, my grandfather was my pastor. For me, church always felt like family. However, when you grow up with your family in church, sometimes your relationship with God versus your relationship with church and church family can get skewed sometimes. My relationship with the Lord became a lot more focused when I began to see that my relationship with God has nothing to do with anyone else. But that really didn't happen until I started switching churches. I went from going to my grandfather's church to another church, and it was a hip-hop church. The moment I realized hip-hop was for me was when I realized I could rap. People don't know my sister was my first inspiration to be an artist. You know, when I saw that she could rap, I was like, oh, now if Tracy can do this, come on now, I can do this.
Ain't got time for no quitters. I've been in it cause it sound good. I've been doing this since childhood. I'm just doing what the wild should fit in my position just like the crown would.
It was difficult to find the balance between being a part of the world but not of it, and still listening to God and pursuing God. I went to a Christian college where you had a lot of people that really weren't living that lifestyle. Well, this was that moment where you could stick out and say, you know what? I'm going to actually live that lifestyle that God has called me to, despite what people do around me. When I met Lecrae, we really started to get into discipleship together. You know, I got a chance to see him off stage, on stage, and seeing him on stage allowed me to see how you manage a career as a rap artist, but more so as a Christian rap artist. Touring with Lecrae, you know, you can sometimes feel that you might be in the shadow of another person just because you are constantly seeing them in a great light. You know, you see them on stage in front of thousands of people. They know their lyrics, like they know his songs from point A to point B. They know his career, his life. They're inspired by this person. And then you're right next to that guy. I struggle with self-doubt and identity a lot of times, and still do. You know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, God may deliver you from some things, but he may also allow you to continue to wrestle with them for the rest of your life for a reason. And that may be for you to depend on him even more. I think literally the enemy knows the power that God has given you. I think he really knows what you could do. And I think he utilizes self-doubt, utilizes insecurities, he utilizes that against you. By the time I'm 25, I got married, and I had just got married. You have the time when you get on your honeymoon and then you get back to work. I get back to performing. After the show, we went to go on our way to go eat. And on our way, there was this truck flipped over. And I see these guys just kind of hanging from their seatbelts. And I'm like, I gotta go help them. We're in the middle of the highway at night. Cars might not even realize we've stopped. We could get hit by a car standing in the middle of the highway. And I kicked the back window open, kind of like a movie, and just like, and my adrenaline's just pumping. Someone around the vehicle said they saw sparks and gasoline, and then everybody started to panic. And as they panicked, we all just kind of fled. I'm gonna jump over this median, and I'm gonna take cover on the other side of the highway. I dropped 35 feet from the highway. And the only thing I can remember when I did leap, took that leap, was there was like this gush of wind that pushed me. That was the Lord. Because below me was a construction site. There was nothing but boulders and tree stumps staked out of the ground. If I landed on any of that, I would have died. I survived it, but my jaw was shattered. My mouth is wired shut. I'm having night terrors. I'm throwing up in the middle of the night with my mouth wired shut. My ankle is like just destroyed. I got this asphyxiator cast on. I got metal rods and everything in my leg. I could not move.
I woke up on my deathbed. I'm stretched wide on that stretcher. Got a wife at home, plus a company on, plus a labor known, and that's pressure.
I'm laying in my hospital bed. I'm looking on my phone. I'm seeing stories written about me. They're saying Canon's a hero. Canon saved a man from his truck. And I'm looking at myself just discouraged. I was not no hero. I didn't save nobody. In fact, the moment that we got scared, I ran away. Jesus would have stayed, and I just feel beat up. The only thing I could do was really just pray and read my word. After the accident, there was a shift. I had already been performing full time at that point as an artist, as a Christian hip hop artist. And the people knew me to make fun music, party music for Christians. But it got to a point where I thought about, man, if I died that night, what will people know me for? Are people better in this world because of me? God really dealt with me. He looked at me and he said, man, I got more for you. That's why you're still here. And so I can't worry about who I am or who I'm not. I have to walk into who God is calling me to. I knew my content needed to change. Not that I took the fun out, but I had to live with the reality that my last dying words could either be one that can be life-changing or it can be one that just is fun. And I wanted to change lives. I wanted to impact the world. So I knew I had to change what I was saying to the world. I've had to learn to hear God's voice louder than the other voices in my head saying, you're not enough.
See, I gotta be grateful. 2015, 2014, 2013. I can't remember, but y'all been telling me that I losing everything. I gotta be grateful.
The accident allowed me to not so much focus on my identity or being worried about what people think about me. Not being worried about living in someone else's shadow, but living in the way that He set out for me, living in the identity that He has crafted for me. My voice is utilized to show that you are more than what you say you are. You are called to be more than what you think you are. I had to learn this is not a place for fame. This is a place for worship. This is a place to point people back to God. And so my goal isn't, like I said, to be famous, it's to be faithful. Because when I'm faithful, God utilizes that faithfulness to change lives around me.